So you want a way of improving your photos. One way to take your photos from to amazing. One way to take you from a beginner photographer to a professional photographer. Or one way to make your sales skyrocket. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you the one thing that you can do to make your pictures look amazing, to get those sales, to get those customers flocking to you, to, well, take your hobby to a new level if it's your hobby. But first, who am I? What am I doing here? My name is Mike Patterson. I've been a professional award-winning photographer located here in Western Canada for over 39 years. I make my living and have made my living exclusively from photography for all those years. Not only do I take pictures, I run a full-service photo lab for photographers from across North America. I also teach photography, helping beginners to professionals improve their photography, improve their hobby, improve their business. And in this video, I'm going to give you some information to get you amazing pictures. So what's one thing? What's one thing you can do with your pictures to make them look amazing? Well, that one thing is to watch the skies. Now, it's not as simple as that. So please don't tune out thinking that, hey, I understand everything. In this video, I'm going to tell you how your pictures can look more amazing by watching the sky, improving your sky, working on your sky. I'm going to give you some suggestions to make your pictures look absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to talk about one of the most controversial things today in photography. So let's get going. So why do you need to watch your skies? Well, if you have skies in your picture, no matter how small they are, no matter what percentage of the image that they take, people expect skies to look a certain way. And if you have a jet stream in one part of the sky, people's eyes will be distracted to that. Unless it's part of the picture, it just doesn't look right. If you have a bird in the sky and you get the picture printed huge and you all of a sudden have this little black speck in the picture or a white speck in this picture, it's going to look funny. And I've seen these pictures. I really have. Power lines, a big one. People don't notice that there's a big power line in the background. And the one thing you see of the entire picture is the power line. So first, before you do anything, watch what's in your sky. Now, I'm not saying that every picture needs sky. They don't. Different pictures will have different amounts of sky. Some pictures will have no sky. So you don't need to have a massive sky in every single picture. But when you do, watch it for what's in the sky. Now, next thing. Watch your exposure of the sky. Watch how the sky, what it's made up of. Watch where the sun is in the sky. Watch for all of that stuff when you're taking pictures. Now, again, I'm not saying that you have to use a graduated neutral density filter or a polarizing filter in every single picture. I'm not saying that you have to take multi-exposures and put them together so that you get beautiful skies in every picture. It'll look phony if you do that in every single picture. But watch the skies to see if there's stuff that you can enhance. Many times, it's a simple thing. You can darken it in post-production, or you can use a neutral density filter, or you can use a polarizing filter. There's different things that you can do to make those skies look nicer. Or you may just want a plain white sky. If you look at a lot of really old photos, you'll notice it's just white sky, or just blue sky, or just cloudy sky. They're not dramatic like skies. They're not dramatic blow away everything skies. They're plain simple skies because the pictures stood up to it. But nice skies, good skies, great skies can improve your pictures dramatically. Now, I've already talked about it. What are some things that you can do to improve your skies? Well, graduated neutral density filters. They work. They really do. Do you need them all the time? No. Do you have to have one in your bag? Probably not with today's modern cameras, but they do work. How do they work? Well, they are a filter, and it goes from black all the way to clear. And it does it in a nice grade. The better quality of the filter, the less noticeable the grade is when you take pictures. The cheaper filters, it looks pretty hokey. It just does not look good. And what you do is you slide the filter around so that you're darkening the areas of the picture that you want darkened, and you're lightening the areas of the pictures that you want light. So if you want to darken the sky, you move it so the sky is darker and the ground is brighter. It equals it out. But be careful. Skies should not equal the ground, so you don't want to fool around with it too much. Polarizing filters can bring out the detail in the sky. And they work, they really do. But you don't need them for every picture. If you're shooting a wedding and you're shooting 500 pictures, you don't need to have a neutral density and a polarizing filter and adjust them between every single picture. People aren't going to care about that. But if you're doing the 1 or 2 or 3 majorly dramatic shots of the bride or the bride and groom together or the groom separate, whatever it is, yeah, you can use the filter. You can really play around with it for those ones. But trying to do all the weddings with them, it's not worth it. Now, what about computers? Yes, you can do a lot of your burning and dodging on your computer. You can take a RAW file or a JPEG file. JPEG, you can do less adjustment, and you can adjust the skies darker. You can adjust the skies lighter to blow them out. You can bring in more details in clouds. You can make them look darker blue. There's so much that you can do with it on the computer. What about some other stuff that you can do to your skies? Well, it's pretty simple. Wait for your skies to get more dramatic. Now, this is a problem for many people because if you have a commercial contract that says you have to shoot between this time and this time, you really can't wait until the skies get that golden touch if they want the picture shot between 1 and 2. If you're going to a city to shoot architectural photography and they want you to shoot between 3 and 5 because that's when the place will be empty, or that's when all the lights will be on the place, or that's when this or that, and the sky doesn't cooperate, well, guess what? You're probably in trouble. But there's times when you can go back to a location multiple times and get the sky when it's more dramatic. You really can. You can wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, sometimes to get those skies, to have the sun move, to have the clouds move in, to have the rays of the sun change a little bit here and there. You can work on all of that just by waiting. So there's a lot that you can do in that to make it look absolutely amazing. Now, we already talked a little bit about it. I said you can adjust them in the computer. Well, there's 2 things that you can do in the computer that, well, one is controversial, one is less controversial. The first one is take multiple pictures. Expose for the sky, expose for the midtones, expose for the dark, and then put them together. Just watch that you're doing it in a way that's believable. And the second way, the way that annoys so many photographers, you can replace your skies. Yes, in Photoshop, in other programs, you can go in and replace your sky. Photoshop itself has sky replacement. You can select from some of their skies and put in, not what I like to do, or you can shoot your own skies and put in. Yeah, it works really well. I know a number of professional photographers that make their living from shooting pictures for people and for corporations that do this regularly. One is an architectural photographer. He shoots constantly in different cities, in different provinces, different countries, and he only has so much time to take pictures. And if the skies aren't cooperating, if he can't wait a week or 2 weeks for a storm to move in or for this or that, he takes the pictures, he comes back home and he adds skies that he's shot either in the same location, same time of day, or the type of skies that he's looking for. And it works. I know wedding photographers that will shoot pictures and they're stuck between shooting between 1 and 3 or 1 and 4. And that's all they can shoot. That's it. That's the time frame they have. They can't wait for the clouds to move. They can't come back in 2 days or 3 days or 4 days. They can't shoot at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. So what do? Well, it's pretty simple. They shoot the pictures and they add a sky afterwards. Now, all the people who get upset over this, all the people who are starting to type comments, type, please. Put in your high-minded thoughts down there about why you think this is wrong. But in my book, unless it's a news photo, unless it's a historical photo that you're shooting to show an event, a place, a time, or a person, doing something specific that is going to be used as news, as media, as whatever, I don't find there's anything wrong with replacing the sky or enhancing the sky or changing the sky. It's part of art. Now, I know that there's people that's typing and they're probably hitting it right now. A-N-S. Ansel Adams would never do this. I'm sorry, Ansel Adams did more doctoring of pictures than most photographers have ever done before the invention of digital. He had his own darkroom. He knew how to dodge and burn. He knew how to bring out the details in the sky in the darkroom. And I bet you if he was around when Photoshop came out with sky replacement, he would have been on it right away. So don't give me that garbage that replacing the sky in a photo is just wrong. It's not. As long as you're, one, not telling people that you shot it naturally, and two, you're not replacing something that is significant. Like, let's say there's let's say that there's some big political event and you're going in and replacing it with sky opening up and rain pouring down on the people, but everybody is perfectly dry down below. As long as you're not doing stuff like that, there's nothing wrong with sky replacement. Now, let's talk about some things to watch out for when you're doing that. First thing, no matter what you're doing, whether you're lightening or darkening, whether you're replacing the sky, whether you're doing anything like that, make sure that it's believable. If the sun is over here and it's shining into your picture, this area where the sun is should be brighter than the area that the sun isn't. You shouldn't have a sun here and this side of the picture is actually brighter than where the sun is, because the sun's going to lighten up stuff. And I see this constantly. People going in doing HDR, people going in changing stuff, and the picture just looks unreal. One of the best things I saw ever, and it was actually a bad thing, but it was one of the best examples of this ever, was I had a photographer a number of years ago did a collage. Now, it was a funny collage. It wasn't meant to be perfect. It wasn't meant to be realistic. He was doing it for a friend. And he had a picture of the moon, and he had a picture of the sun. The thing was, the sun and the moon were the same density. They were the same brightness. They looked, like they were both the same thing. Just one was the sun, one was the moon. That will never happen in real life. The moon will never be as bright as the sun, and the sun will never be as dull as the moon. So watch that you're not doing stuff like that, because it'll make your pictures look awkward. The other thing, especially with sky replacement, watch to make sure that the sky is believable for the picture. If you have a dramatic sky and the colors are dark red or orange and your ground looks white, your ground looks blue, it just doesn't work. If you have a dramatic sky and this part of the sky is dark and this part of the sky is light, but this part of your picture is dark and this part of your picture is light, it just doesn't look right. So watch stuff like that. Not only in dodging and burning, not only in cloning, not only in polarizing filters or graded neutral density filters, but in sky replacement as well. Make sure the skies look believable. Well, there's some suggestions. There's some ideas. It's going to help you get better pictures. It's going to help you to make more money at pictures. Work on the skies. Make the skies look like they should, and make the skies look dramatic. And you'll have some great photos. And you'll have customers who want you to take their pictures or buy your pictures. So until next time, have yourself a great day. We'll talk to you soon. And get out there and take some amazing pictures. Until next time, put down what you like to do to make your skies look dramatic down below. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.